The book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again. Faster than before? And he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Or so a scholar in the mountains had told him. Surely the weapon that banished the lost gods could defeat the Emperor. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Reynardo had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Reynardo really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
So, der Wahrheitsfinder. So, aber was ist denn jetzt da hier? Was ist jetzt hier? Oder ist es gänzlich egal, was wir hier machen? Wir könnten nochmal einen Lapino da hier machen.
Lapino. Apparently, the Mad Rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly own. Lapino always wiggled out of trouble, given time. But he was out of time. Lapino's frantic message said that the Ravens were going to kill him for being a rebel spy. And that he had a clever plan. If the fleet reached him first, they'd string him up for that. Never mind the winged horse. Or so Lapino had told him over the far speaker anyway. Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen the winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens? People were frightened these days. Just 2 weeks past, Reynardo had sneaked through an empty town and listened to the Ravens call about the Emperor's new taste in ritual sacrifice.
Hier waren wir aber doch nicht. Oder? Oh, wo sind wir denn jetzt? Das ist das berühmte Einhorn-Level. Ravens were landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lapino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lapino. Well, unless he really was a traitor, obviously. Then they'd probably pin a medal on his chest. So.
Was hat's denn jetzt mit diesem Wahrheitsfinder? Irgendwie sehe ich da noch nichts.
It was time for a little exploration.
So.
Smell any better when you're dead. Dirty and bloody, Reynardo finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Reynardo recognized the cards. It was Lapino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The ravens are coming. Oh, the prison thing. Right, yeah, see, this guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal. They're very reasonable people, actually, for weasels. Now, I got a brilliant plan to kidnap Zenobia. We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows, and that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who happened to also be a deadly sorcerer, and, oh, his only daughter? That would be worth it. And it would be nice to see her. He'd always had a soft spot for her. And he felt sure she had one for him. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing.
Ah.
It must have great power.
Ah. Ja, jetzt haben wir dann mal den Sky Ripper da.
To make the Sky Ripper, the transcendent Emperor had wrapped an armature around the eye of a god. Reynardo had already let that armature slip away to save Lapino's life. But even its core, the eye torn from a god, surely they could fashion a great weapon from that. The core of the Sky Ripper? Lapino's excited. That's an actual thing that we could just go and get. You've been busy. He sure had. Reynardo told him all the things he'd been up to. Soon they got to talking about old times, about wages they'd won and lost, and scrapes they'd barely got out of. It was good to be back with his friend. Reynardo grinned. He had a very good feeling about this. It's beautiful here, thought Reynardo. It was nice to be back with his old war buddy. All right. Lapino was a traitor. But still, it was good company. You know, ore is pretty heavy to carry. You know what's not? A new sword.
Ja. Moment mal. Da ist hier noch irgendwas? Eine Kiste zum Beispiel.
The sword felt even colder.
So, jetzt haben wir alle Schwerter auf Max. Das haben wir schon gelesen.
Danced around the room yelling, oh yeah, that's how we do it. It was something he liked to do, but only after he'd killed all the witnesses.
So, Eisfeld war eigentlich ganz nice.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. Had that door been opened before? You almost never saw wild gogglers together like this. The toads had to train them not to peck each other to death. To be imperial.
Durchstechen geht auch nicht. Oh Mann.
That meant ravens were up ahead.
Ich dachte, jemand kann durchstechen.
Bet you never saw that coming. Reynardo felt wrong all over. He could feel an almost palpable sickness in the air. And if the land could have tumors, they would look like these monstrous crystals. The forest was quieter than it had been. There were insects, but few birds. He didn't count the ravens. Reynardo smelled sick animals and dying ones. No healthy ones. I'm getting a bad feeling about this. Reynardo thought. Maybe Lupino was right. Maybe they should have kidnapped Zenobia instead of coming here. Of course there was a puzzle. You couldn't expect a transcendent emperor to bury a god's eye in a leather sack where anyone could pick it up.
Ist er wieder, der kann.
As he held the radiant icosahedron, Reynardo felt queasy, like dozens of tiny worms were nibbling his insides. It wasn't healthy to be so close to the eye of a god. How could he use it? He could take it to the observatory. The scientists there could tell him how to harness its ancient power. But honestly, Reynardo ached to get away from it. He brought the core back with him to the Farfarer. But honestly, Reynardo ached to be rid of it. Tell you what, said Lupino. I'll take it to the observatory. You attack the Imperial outpost. The Imperial outpost was a vital communications node. Taking it could shatter the Empire's ability to coordinate. And it would be full of secret plans and maps and maybe even rebel prisoners.
It was a good target for a hero like Reynardo. But what if this was a ruse, so that Lapino could get the core into the hands of the Empire? Was Reynardo ready to take that risk?
Was?
Maybe it was better if he brought the core to the scientists himself.
Okay, wir sind ja, egal wie, nicht richtig. Das heißt, das ist ja einfach nur ein Zeichen für Wege, die wir noch nicht genutzt haben. Hm. Hm.